Hi, I'm Kai Cheng Tom, and you're watching Ask Kai Quick Tips for the Apocalypse, a series of short videos in which I give you the advice you need. I don't really know if you need it, but I'm sure it's entertaining. Anyway, so today's question is, when COVID's all over, I plan on being extremely single and getting my sex on. What are the rules? And I just want to say, I love this question. It is so optimistic. Like COVID's gonna be over. That's a good one. Okay, so let's for the sake of hypothetical advice giving, say that there will be a post-COVID time where we can all be single and have a hot girl summer. And let's face it, a lot of us will want to get it on. Probably there are some of us in this house who want to get on now. Anyway, what are the rules? The truth is, nobody knows. There aren't rules. There isn't a responsible government that's giving us consistent messaging. If that were true, we might not be in this situation. So we're going to have to come up with the rules ourselves. This is an opportunity, though, I think, to shift away from the rules and rule breaking mindset. In times of trouble and danger, it's really easy for us, the human beings, to go into this place of I want to know the rules, I want to know the guidelines, and if people break the rules, then they're bad people, immoral, evil. And this is where, slut shaming and sex shaming and whorephobia come in some of the time. And I'm really reminded here, actually, of past and current day responses to the HIV/AIDS epidemic. Still today, in the queer community and outside of it, we have lots of people saying there should be really specific, strict rules that people who are positive follow, and all of us also should follow this separate set of rules, and if we do the rules, then we'll be safe, and anyone who breaks the rules is a bad person, and anyone who is pos must have broken the rules. So this is serophobia, and it comes from a puritanical, I think, kind of mindset that says if we follow the rules, we'll be safe, and being sick is a sign of immoral behavior or a lack of character. And I just want to say, I think that comes from a place of people really wanting to be safe. And also, I don't think that thinking is what makes us safe. So this is my little opportunity to rant about that to you and advocate for a way of being that is not rule-based, but is relationship-based. Really thinking about what are our human needs for connection, sexuality, erotic intimacy, and how can we navigate those needs in a way that is relational, taking into account everybody's needs, wants, feelings, desires, and yes, safety, in a way that isn't punitive or shaming, but that is generative and gives us a way to move forward with a harm reductive approach. This is the approach, by the way, that has been adopted by most of the major health agencies and grassroots advocacy collectives. So, we're backed up by science and practice here. Well, we want to acknowledge that sexuality and erotic intimacy, hookups, sex, these things are going to happen. Pandemic or no pandemic. People are going to do it. Now, of course, people have different experiences of sexuality. We have differing libidos. Some folks are asexual in a way where they don't want to have sex at all. Others are experience sex where they only want to have it some of the time, or only with romantic partners, or only with strangers, right? We all have a really different and unique way of experiencing sexuality. But many, many, many of us are programmed to want to have it. And the truth is, a lot of us are going to. I think what safe enough sexuality might mean is taking a look at the numbers that are coming out around the COVID rates of infection, looking at hotspots, staying current with the literature about how infection is spread. We used to say it's only droplets. Now we're saying it's aerosols. What does that mean? Well, it's not just people talking and laughing and spitting, I guess, at you. It's also people breathing and being in the same area as you. And it's not just the moisture that comes from people's bodies. It's also that COVID is spread through the air. So that's really important to know. It's something we didn't know as clearly before. And we want to keep that in mind. That said, it is a part of our reality now. And people who are vaccinated are less likely to become seriously ill because of COVID-19. And then there's like some stuff suggesting that people who've been vaccinated are less likely to contract and transmit the virus as well. Now, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an epidemiologist, I'm not a scientist, but as a layperson, that's what I've been reading as best as I can. It seems like there might be some science suggesting that people who have been vaccinated are less likely to transmit, and certainly it seems like they're less likely to get seriously ill. So if you have a partner or potential partner who has been vaccinated, or you've been vaccinated, or you've both been vaccinated, that's something to think about as well, as maybe a little bit more of a green light to go forward. And not everybody has had the chance to be vaccinated equally. America is different from Canada, and people with health insurance in America are different from people who don't, and all this other kind of stuff. So this is a matter of privilege and the power and access. And we can't separate that from this conversation. And also, it's a part of our reality, and so it's something to consider. When we're thinking about sexuality and how healthcare and medicine enables some of us to have safer sexuality than others, it's a reminder that we need to be educating and advocating as best we can for universal access. Last thing to think about is, and this would be true in a pandemic, out of a pandemic, after a pandemic, is we want to be kind and we want to be thoughtful when we approach sexuality, both to our partners or potential partners, and especially also to ourselves. I don't see those two things as separate. When we're being really kind and gentle with ourselves, I think it enables us to be kind and gentle with others, and vice versa. Why is it particularly important to think about in the context of pandemic, or the potential post-pandemic? Well, I would say we've all been living through a year of collective trauma. Now, some of us were doing that already based on our social locations, but we have this extra giant collective trauma that it speaks really specifically to our fear of our own bodies and our fear of other people's bodies. Like literally, because of this pandemic, all of us started to think my body might be dangerous to others, or other people's bodies might be dangerous to me. And we already fear that, actually. When we go into sex, there's all of this emotion, physical response that comes up around, is this poor person going to hurt me, either physically or emotionally, or am I going to hurt them, either physically or emotionally? And so we just want to take that real slow, I think. We want to be kind around that and gentle around that. We want to pay a lot of attention to, how is my body reacting to being in physical contact with someone else's after maybe not being in physical contact with other people for a year and a bit, or however long this pandemic lasts. We want to be paying attention to our partner's body as well. How are they responding? And just because we're like, yes, everything is normal, or yes, everything is good, doesn't always mean that's how we're feeling on the inside, or how our partners are feeling on the inside. So really, to have a conversation, and I always advocate for people to have conversations about sex, consent, STIs, history, to weave all of that into your hooking up or dating practice. You might also want to throw in some questions there about, well, how are you feeling about sex post or during pandemic? How are you doing with all that? I'm doing, and then you want to tell the person how you're doing. When we're able to be honest about our own internal experience, it usually empowers other people to be honest about theirs. So just a thought. That's my long-winded rant. I know I didn't give you any clear guidelines, because I can't, but enjoy your post-COVID sexing phase. I really hope that I get to have one too. Stay safe,